Hello and welcome. I'm so excited that you have decided to join this session so that we can give you some great tips, information, and expertise to help you submit a session for TrailblazerDX 2024. My name is Christy Fedora, and I'm the Director for Global Developer Engagement at Salesforce. And I'm really pleased to be joined by my amazing colleague and friend, Alba Rivas, at Principal Developer Advocate.
Hello, everyone.
So for the past few years, Alba and I have had the honor of co-leading the developer track at Dreamforce and TrailblazerDX, which is our global developer conference. We learned so much from our speakers and about the process of submitting a CFP that we wanted to share it with you. Our goal for this session is to help you feel more knowledgeable about the CFP process, and that knowledge will inspire you to take the plunge and submit your session for our next global event, which is TrailblazerDX 2024. So before we begin, of course, Alba and I just want to say thank you so very much for everything that you do for the Trailblazer community. We love seeing you grow, share, connect, give back, and learn from one another. And the perfect place to do that is at TrailblazerDX 2024. Our agenda today is very quick. It's very short, but it's going to cover everything that you need to set yourself up for success. We're going to cover the basics, including what is a CFP, and we're going to narrow it down into helpful myth-busting content, such as the topics that we prefer. We're going to round it off with the top tips that we think you will benefit from the most when submitting your CFP. And we'll also share the link to the current application form for TrailblazerDX 2024. So what is a CFP? Well, quite simply, it's just an abbreviation for the phrase call for participation. For the purposes of Salesforce, it's an online form that you access via the portal. And it's where you give us details about your session that you want to present at one of our events. Now, when it comes to the type of session that you should submit, always focus on the experience and the expertise that you personally have gained. Nothing inspires an audience more than a session that demonstrates that you've a deep knowledge of the subject matter, and more importantly, that you've conquered it. It's a place for you to tell them the challenge that you faced, the solution that you devised to overcome it, and the lessons that you learned before, during, and after the implementation. So why should you submit a CFP? Well, this is a great slide to come to grips with. As you can see, it has a lot of benefits for you personally. You can showcase your expertise, you can strengthen your personal brand, you can connect with the technical community, and you can receive coaching and support from people like Alba and myself during the whole preparation process. You also, of course, get a free ticket to attend so that you can network, you can learn, and you can have a lot of fun. But there are benefits for your company as well, because you get to demonstrate that you have expertise and proactivity within the Salesforce ecosystem. You discovered a challenge, you solved the challenge, and you can talk about that challenge. And it also, of course, raises awareness for your own company within the ecosystem. And that's a very valuable piece of marketing for your organization.
Yeah, so now I'm going to continue talking about the kinds of topics that we normally look for, right? So there are mainly two kinds of sessions. There are sessions which are technical, right? In which you are supposed to share about a topic that you have experience on. And then there are other type of sessions that are more like career oriented or inspirational, and those go into the community campfire. So for the technical sessions, you can talk about a variety of topics. So first of all, we're looking for content on new features that have been recently released or that are pilot or beta. If you had the opportunity to participate on a pilot for a specific product, this is a huge opportunity for you to tell us how it went, right? Tell us about your takeaways and your experience with the feature. If you are an early adopter and you like to taking a look at their release notes and try out the latest features that they come in there, this is also a great topic to submit for the CFP, right? But said that, Don't forget that we are also looking for content about established Salesforce features, Apex, right? Lightning Web Components, the developer experience, anything that you have expertise on and that you can that you can help the audience with, right? Apex talks, for instance, are typically very popular, and we normally struggle to find CFP submissions that are Apex based because some folks think that only new features are going to be taken into account, and that's completely inaccurate because we are looking for all kind of submissions regarding technical topics, right? Then I was talking about specific features, but you don't need to submit a talk about a single specific uh, technology only, right? If you have experienced a project in which you were touching on several Salesforce technologies, and you have some takeaways, some insights or best practices that you want to share, that's also a great candidate to submit for the CFP. And finally, TrailblazerDX is going to be an AI conference, of course, because this is a hot topic right now, and it is where Salesforce is putting a lot of attention right now. So if you have AI-related sessions, you want to tell us about some AI projects that you worked with, even if it's not with Salesforce technologies, that's going to be a good candidate as well. For the career and inspirational topics, think about tips that help you in your developer career, for instance, or techniques to prepare the Platform Developer One certification, right? Or anything like inspirational that you want to share. Then I want to give you some tips regarding the different fields that you will need to complete in the CFP. And this is very important because these are the fields that we take a look at to select the sessions, right? So first of all, you will need to define a title. The title is a short field. It only supports 60 characters. So it is very important that you go like straight to the point and you make it very, very clear what the session is about. A good strategy for that is to include the product name or the technology name on the title, right? Something important about the title is to describe what your audience will learn from the session. This is going to be important for the selection process and also for the final selection process by the audience, because when the TrailblazerDX attendees take a look at the sessions, they are going to take a look at your title to decide. So it is important to tell them which takeaways they are going to learn from that, right? And a good strategy to do that is to start your title with a verb. So for instance, here I have a bad example of a title, mobile apps to rule them all. Okay, it sounds fancy, but it doesn't tell me really what the session is about. And it's not describing what the audience is going to learn, right? However, a good title, a good example of that would be adapt your Lightning Web Components app to work on mobile. Now I know that the technology that we're showcasing is Lightning Web Components for mobile, and the person who's going to attend the session will know that some tips and tricks to adapt their apps, right? Okay, so done with the title. What about the abstract? The abstract is 200 characters long. That's not a ton, right? It's not as short as the title, but there's not much that can fit into those characters. So that's important. Because of that, it's important that you think very well about what you want to include in that abstract. If the title was not enough to describe what the audience will learn, which will be the case in most of the most of the times, right? You have this field to expand of that. For instance, is the audience going to learn best practices about LWC for mobile? They are going to learn top tips about a successful project implementation that you perform, right? Or are they going to learn the basics of a technology? That's something that you can, those are some questions that you can think of when creating your abstract. Then I recommend you to try to reflect on that abstract, the level of the session somehow. It is not the same as session that starts saying these are the basics, right? Than a session that says this is a deep dive. And that's sometimes important for the selection because we are looking to have sessions for different levels, and sometimes we look for specific level sessions at specific levels.
Yeah.
And here you have a good sample of an abstract. Adapting your LWC apps for mobile, learn considerations and best practices, low code and code modifications to perform, and recommended tooling to make this development experience much faster. If I am a developer and I don't know what's the developer tooling for mobile, for sure I'm going to attend this session. And finally, there is one more field that is extremely important, which is the why should this session be presented field. This field has a 1,000 character length. It is your opportunity to elaborate on the topic and really describe why the session should be picked, right? Some ideas to include in that field are takeaways that didn't fit in your abstract, because sometimes not everything fits in the abstract. For instance, also what the structure of the session will be, if you are going to do a demo, if you are going to have just slides, if it's going to be a conversational talk. And finally, this is also an opportunity to share links with us. There is a special field to share a link to a presentation, right? But if you want to share more links with us, for instance, you want us to see the experience of the speaker, right? You can share like multiple videos showing that speaker presenting somewhere else, or you can use that field to really tell us anything that you feel relevant for us selecting the session. And finally, I wanted to mention one last tip, which is be careful with AI generated titles and abstracts. I review them and I can tell you that when I've reviewed 200 or 300 abstracts, it's very, very visible which abstracts were generated with AI and were left like that, like with the first version that the AI generated, right? And which abstracts were maybe generated with AI, but the speaker worked on them, right? Because at the end, the AI doesn't have personality, right? Your personality is not as creative as you are. And the authenticity that you can put in that title and that abstract is not possible to get that with just an AI. And I'm not saying that you don't use AI at all, because, for instance, I use it to fix my grammar mistakes, right? But I'm saying that you read carefully and work on your abstract and title carefully, so you submit something that is authentic. And with that, I'm going to pass the ball to Christy.
Thank you, Alba. That was amazing. So before we sign off, everybody, I just wanted to share a few additional tips which are going to ensure that you're set up for success. Now, a great tip is do not start answering the questions in the application form the first time that you open the application form. Instead, God bless you, Alba. Salud. So instead, open up the application, take a note of what fields are being asked of you, and then answer them in a document someplace else, a Word document, a Google document, a note, anything that you like. because this is going to give you the chance to feel more comfortable with your content submission. Um, it's really important that you don't try to answer the questions first. You might get something we call field fatigue, where you kind of are just drifting from one field to the next and you don't pay a lot of attention to what you're actually typing. This is where mistakes can happen, grammatical mistakes, or you might repeat a sentence, or you don't pay attention to how much character limitation field has set on that particular piece of content. So it's really important that you give yourself the time and the space and the grace with the application. So take your time with it, open it, have a look at the questions, copy and paste them into another document or write them out in another document, and then sit with that information for a little while. Actually respond, do your best with your application in the other document, and take some time with it. Leave for a little bit, have a colleague review it, go back to it, put the edits in that the colleague has had. The longer that you sit with it, the more you can look at it with fresh eyes when you return to it. So by the time you actually get ready to upload, it is going to be pitch perfect. And that's what you want. Now, let me just explain to you a little bit about the saving process. A lot of people get nervous about the saved work that they've already put in. Anytime that you press the continue button on any of the screens, the first screen, as soon as you press continue, the system saves your work. That means you'll be able to come back to it at any time that you'd like. So that will be coming back to your homepage. You can see the link in the screen image that we have here. Just says homepage at the top. When you click on the home page, down at the bottom, it will show you all of the submissions that you have. Perhaps you are submitting for multiple tracks or multiple sessions. You'll be able to see them all at the bottom of your screen. And one of them will say in progress. And that will be the one that you started, but you haven't yet finished. So don't worry about saving your work or your work is not being saved, because if you press the continue button at any point, then it will save it. But if you haven't pressed the continue button, I'm sorry, but that work is now gone. I hope that makes sense. Be mindful of those character limits. That's why Alba put them on the previous slide, so that you can see 60 characters versus 200 characters. It's really important that you stick within the character limit that we have. And we're not just being hard about that, but that's the amount of information that any person can see on their mobile device when they're trying to choose their next session in Agenda Builder. And so it's really important that you stay within those character limits. And there's, of course, help text on the application form if you need support. So if you get stuck somewhere or you're not really sure how to answer this particular question, you can follow the instructions on the form to contact the team and get some help. All right. And of course, our big tip for you is that the closing date for TrailblazerDX 2024 CFP is the 1st of December 2023. So don't delay. We want to see your submission. So Alba, if you go to the last screen, everyone can see here that we have a QR code. So you can take a snapshot of it with your phone, or you can go to the link that we've provided here and start writing out your application. Get familiar with it. It might seem scary, but we hope that this little presentation that we spun up for you helps debunk some of those myths and gives you more confidence and security about submitting. You have expertise and experience that other developers want to hear about and learn from. Please share it with them by submitting your CFP. We are really looking forward to seeing your submission. Thanks, everybody. Our last slide is just to encourage you to follow us on our social media accounts, where we promote our announcements of our events and our CFP opening and closing, so you can see all the information that you need and stay up to date with us. We look forward to seeing you at TrailblazerDX 2024 as a speaker on the developer track. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.